I think what the atomic swaps or what Chia swap brings is a different way to trustlessly on ramp into the Chia ecosystem or off ramp in a way that doesn't rely on a centralized exchange, right? So we in Chia have been very used to doing things very decentralized, not having these centralized exchanges that we depend on. And so this allows us for another mechanism where we can trustlessly interact. I feel like this is a trustless way to on-ramp and off-ramp into the Chia ecosystem. So if you want to exchange between chains, this is a very generic mechanism of doing that. And we started by implementing with one of the reserve coins, which is Bitcoin.
No.
This could easily be extended to other chains. So it's definitely been demonstrated in the past that you can do atomic swaps between chains. And so this is a first step on that path, but it does enable trustless exchange between BTC and XCH.
So what are the improvements and the differences between the mobile version of Chia Swap launched this time and the desktop version you demonstrated last time?
I'd say the biggest change is the implementation of a user interface. So integrating this into an easily usable UI, it has been the biggest change. The other change that we made was the integration of the Chia message coin for the exchange of data. So before, when we were demonstrating this in the command line desktop application, there was this piece of information that you had to send between the two parties. And we have now implemented that exchange of data using the Chia message coin to do that, or the Chia notifications. This is the same mechanism that used by the Chia Lite wallet, where someone can notify you that they would like to buy your NFT. So it's that same mechanism where you can buy someone's attention by spending a certain amount of Chia, and it uses that same puzzle.
So what do you find to be the most challenging part of the in your development process?
A lot of what's involved in doing an exchange like this is trying to make it understandable for a user and not having them forced to understand a lot of the different pieces that's involved in doing this. So making a clean UI, making it easy to use, I think are easily the hardest parts of doing it. The next part was we set a bar for ourselves, or like a goal, which was to ensure that when you did a mnemonic restore, right? So in Web3 and in crypto, we're used to going in, importing our seed words, and then everything showing up, all of our transactions and everything like that. So when we implemented this, we wanted to do the same thing. And we have this very detailed timeline where it shows you all of the different steps and all the different coins that were involved in the overall exchange until you end up with the swap completed. And we wanted that timeline to be able to be restored from importing your seed words. And that meant that we needed a way to tie multiple different coin spends together. The other really challenging part of it was ensuring that there wasn't a way that malicious actors could frustrate this process by sending things that really weren't intended to be the exchange itself, and to keep it so that you really could have honest participation in the swap.
Do you think Chia can achieve the fast, Lightning, like a Bitcoin Lightning network, the small payment? to other customers?
So having worked with Lightning a bit during this entire process, it was surprising how hard it is to work with Lightning, even in the existing Bitcoin infrastructure. It really is a very frustrating experience from both a developer perspective and a user perspective, especially when you start to really try to use it. I think a lot of what happens with Lightning is there's a demonstration of capability, but when you get further into trying to use it or trying to leverage the infrastructure, you find how hard it is to actually deal with these payment channels as they've been envisioned inside of Bitcoin. So since Chia really tries to solve a lot of the problems that exist in Bitcoin, as the stated goal of the team, I anticipate that when we finally see, payment channels and state channels as primitives that are implemented on Chia, that they would be much better than what there is currently on Bitcoin. It is frustratingly hard to use, and it is frustratingly hard to get to real liquidity. It's not hard to get 1 or 2 Satoshis or even 10 or 100, but when you start to try to really want to move some money around, some real value around, it's pretty difficult to find the right way to do that. And it requires you to do actually a lot of the infrastructure on your own. And even some of the infrastructure players that exist for Bitcoin Lightning kind of don't have a good answer for a lot of the problems that we encountered even trying to do this application. So I would anticipate that Chia ends up doing this much better.
So to realize the smooth digital currency transaction, the stable coin is very important. How do you evaluate the Chia's service providers stably, the stable coin?
Well, I think from a regulatory perspective, Stably has pursued a path that I think is very solid. Like, they are trying to be very regulatory compliant, which I think is extremely important when you're taking on the role of a custodian. Fundamentally, unless you're doing some kind of algorithmic stablecoin, you end up in a position where you have to custody the actual asset that you're going to tokenize, right? So they're taking on fiat currency, USD, and they are holding it in treasury. Now, there is still the possibility in any custodial relationship where you can have somebody who does the wrong thing, and it is fundamentally a trust relationship that you're entering into whenever you deal with a custodian. So I think when you're evaluating a custodian, it's important to see their regulatory disclaimers, like how they intend to be compliant, and their audit, and all of these things, in my mind, are critical to evaluating any stablecoin issuer. And from that perspective, I found Stably to be very positive. Like, I think they really are doing the things that I would hope to see a custodian do. And I think that of all the players that I've seen in the space, Circle and Stably are I think some of the most reputable and the top players in the stablecoin ecosystem. So I'm very excited about Stably, and I think that they're doing a lot of the right things. Inherently, I'm not a fan of custody solutions, so I'm a little not particularly crazy about it from that perspective. Like, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's definitely facilitating a real need in the marketplace and a real need in the ecosystem. And from that perspective, I really like Stably, and I'm happy to be working with them. And we actually are. It's one thing I could show in the app is that we have integrated Stably as something you can do. So you can actually use this get USDS to invoke our application infrastructure, which actually takes you straight into Stably Ramp. So if you tap that, then you can go right into the Ramp application, and from here you can start to do the swaps between your ACH or your fiat and get USDS straight into a wallet balance. So this is actually integrated with our application now. So I actually really like Stably and am happy to be working with them.
Yeah, so that's Stably, the exchange you show us the fiat between fiat and USD. It's applied to American customers only, right? It's very hard for us to use it.
I think they have more things coming soon, so I think that may change in the near future. But I think right now, yes, it is very much geared towards US. But that's where something like Chia Swap it is usable, right? Because you don't need to ask anyone's permission. So that's like the whole point of Chia Swap.
So we're seeing that the clawback has integrated into your app, and can we how can we understand the clawback? It's a delayed payment. Is there any delay time limit?
So the way clawback works is when in Chia you send a coin, you're always encoding the coin with some smart contract, with some puzzle, with some Chia list. So for a clawback, essentially what you're doing is you're giving a coin two different spend paths. So in Chia list, we have this thing called assertions. So we can say that something can be valid or invalid as long as that condition has been asserted. So what happens with clawback is you're saying you can pull this coin back as long as a certain condition is in effect. And so you can think about this similar to how funds are escrowed, right? If you're going to do some kind of a transaction, oftentimes big transactions involving real estate or motor vehicles, sometimes often we'll do this, or any type of high net worth piece of asset. It could be a piece of art or some kind of a collector's item. You have an exchange that wants to occur where someone has the item and someone has the money, and you need a trusted intermediary to hold on to the funds or the equipment. You bring them both together, you validate that the equipment is genuine, you validate that the amount of money is good, and then the person who is the custodian or acting as the escrow agent will then release the item to both parties simultaneously. And so on the blockchain, at least on the Chia blockchain, we have the ability to do something very similar, which is we put the funds into a special, we even call it an escrow puzzle. So it's sitting in the escrow puzzle, and you're able to spend this coin if a certain amount of time has elapsed. So that's where the validity on this puzzle comes in. You're saying in certain places, it's not this first validity. This validity is saying, how long am I willing to accept the offer? But when someone accepts the trade, they say, I'm willing to work with you for this amount of time. And if you don't send me the BTC in the next 3 hours or 2 hours, then I'm going to pull my XCH back and I'm going to retrieve my funds. So the clawback functions as an escrow puzzle. So you create a special type of coin that will allow you to spend it back to yourself if the counterparty does not fulfill what they were supposed to do, which is to send you the BTC to your Lightning payment invoice.
So to implement clawback, what should both parties pay attention to? And how does the payer know the other party has adopted a clawback payment?
It It's kind of just built into the puzzle. So the way the Chia swap works, you're expecting both sides to do what they're supposed to do. Each side has a deliverable, right? If I'm the person who's selling BTC or selling XCH, which is what I have on the screen here. So I'm selling XCH for BTC, then the performance that's expected is that I will put XCH into an escrow puzzle where the counterparty can see and verify that the amount of funds that are sitting on that coin is correct. And since I know what's going on in this exchange, or at least the wallet knows what's going on, it can look at the puzzle and verify that it's correct. And this is one of the key parts of how Chia works, is its verifiability and its security. So when you pay a coin and you say it has a specific puzzle hash, it's possible for the other side to say, yes, this is exactly how this puzzle would look if all of these inputs were supplied and then I were to query them into the puzzle and then hash it. This is one of the critical parts of this puzzle, is that you need to know what values are being used. And so this exchange of data is facilitated by the cross-chain offer file that we created. So you have to really pass quite a bit of data back and forth between the two parties. And all of this is transparently done and integrated within the UI. So as far as the clawback goes, you actually tell the user, this is how long I'm willing to wait. And if you don't perform the action within this amount of time, I'm going to have the ability to claw my funds back. So they know that they have to pay this Lightning Network invoice within a certain amount of time. And it very clearly states this to the user, that they must perform this activity, or if they do it too late, then they will have paid the BTC, but the clawback funds will be gone. So it's sort of seamlessly integrated, and it's known in this application because you tell the user, you must perform this action in this amount of time, or you may be paying someone and you'll get nothing in return. So it's an integral part of how this works to ensure that your counterparty does fulfill their side of the transaction.
So Grant, can you show us the latest features on the on the spot, such as BTC swap, clawback, and the name style domain name registration? And we have a friend, 合作社, he has got some small amount of set and XCH ready to interact with you.
Okay, great. So the first thing I'm going to do is just change to a smaller amount. So we know in Chia, the small amount is mojos, and then in BTC, we know that's sat. So I'm just going to make that change now. And then the exchange rate, you have to have a lot of Chia to get one BTC, because the price of Bitcoin is very high. So you just have to put lots of zeros until you get even one sat. So this is the amount of mojos per sat. So you can see it's quite a bit. So maybe we'll just do 12 sats. Is that okay for, does he, okay, he has that much. I'll set the validity period to 6 hours. So I'll say this swap, I'm only going to accept this price. So I will sell this many mojos for 12 sats, and I'm only going to accept this for the next 6 hours. Now, what I need to do next is put in a Lightning payment request. So I'm going to use the Mune wallet to do this. So I'll go right here to Mune, and then I will come in here, and what I need to do is say I want to receive on the Lightning Network. So all I've done is say receive Lightning, and then now I want to set exactly how much I expect to receive. So this is similar to what we did in the Evergreen app, where I'm just going to set this to sats and say 12 sats. And this is pretty much it at this point. This is the only thing that I need to do. So I'm going to copy that Lightning Network invoice, and then I'm going to come back in here, and then I'm just going to paste it in. And that actually parses it and validates that it's correct. And we show all the data here. If you're interested in looking at this, this is everything that's in that Lightning Network request. So we've parsed all that out so you can see it if you want. And then you tap continue. And so what's happening now is I'm actually creating a coin so that DEXI will be able to see that this offer is valid and that it hasn't been canceled. So I'm going to create this transaction, and then I'm going to do my spend. And in Evergreen Mobile, we have the ability to look at what exactly we're doing and what we're signing. And so you can see here that we've created this cross-chain offer file and what exactly we've done as far as creating this data. This is all hidden by default, so you don't need to look at this stuff. But for anyone that wants to in-depthly look at exactly what their wallet is doing, what they're signing, the coin that we're spending, you can see that we're spending a 3 Mojo coin. So if I say send now, what that's done is it's actually created a coin spend with some amount of information. And I can now use this coin and I can submit the offer to DEXI. So for whoever wants to take the other side of this trade, you can now go look, and this is live on DEXI. So that's the 12 sat exchange, and it is there and anyone can see it. So if you go look at DEXI, you can actually see this offer there and live. So I'll quickly go grab the link for this, and then I'll put it in the chat so everyone can see it. So I put the link there in the chat, so you can take a look at it.
社长，你上去看一下这个 DEXI 上的这个 offer。
So now if we go into the app, you can see here that I have an offer in progress. So it's down at the bottom of the screen, and you can see that I'm waiting for this. And this is the timeline view that I had mentioned. So this is showing all the steps in the process, right? That first we've initialized an offer and we have made it available. And we're waiting for this first coin spend to be completed. So once this coin is fully validated on the Chia blockchain, then we'll be ready to do the exchange. So right now, what this is showing in this UI is that we've submitted it to a full node. It's been validated in the mempool. And in another couple seconds, we'll see that it's been confirmed on the chain. Now, there is a point in this entire exchange where we have to be really, really careful that this transaction has been very well buried on the Chia blockchain, because if we try and do the transaction too soon, there's a possibility that the coin could get reorged, and then you would not have a true atomic swap. And so you can see that the app actually updated in real time. This check mark just came in. And so this timeline does this. It sort of updates in real time. So you can sit here and watch. And so now you can see that the app has changed state, and it says we're waiting for the taker. So we're waiting for someone to take our offer.
社长，你操作了吗？你可以说话，我解除静音了的。
我现在刚刚导入那个 offer， 然后发了个截图在聊天窗口。
OK， 你已经收到这个 offer 了是吧？那个导入了是吧？嗯。
对，我想导入。但是这个有个情况，就是它这个延迟时间，最好像是必须要选的延迟的时间，最低都是1个小时。
我听不太清啊。
啊？
你听清了吗？说必须要选延迟时间什么的，我没听太清楚社长说的。
So Grant, can you see that screen? Our friend show here. He says there has to select the delayed time?
So
1 hour?
so this validity, this is saying this is how long we're going to allow for this exchange to take place. So 1 hour is fine. It's a good value. It's setting up this sort of time for the exchange to take place, and this is where the clawback would come into play. So 1 hour is fine. That can be used. That's great.
你就继续吧，社长他1个小时可以的。Continue.
Yes, click the continue button.
如果你接收了，他这边应该能够看得到啊，这个 offer 已经被 accept 了。
So on the screen, you can see that there's this status that says message coin received. So we're waiting for someone to say, yes, I'm willing to do this trade. And the way that you announce to the person that posted this offer that you're willing to do that is by sending a Chia message coin. So that's what we're waiting for right now, is we're waiting for that Chia message coin to come to us. And once we receive that, then we'll be able to say, okay, I'm willing to accept this trade, and we can proceed. Now, why might you reject it? You might reject this trade if the price of BTC has moved too much, or the price of Chia has moved too much. So you might have initially put this offer out there and you'd say, well, this offer is valid for 6 hours. But then when the actual transaction comes through, you might have had so much difference in the price that you no longer want to do that trade because you'll lose a lot of money doing it that way. So in that case, you would reject the offer, and then probably you would take down your offer at that point and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, but I'm willing to do it at maybe a different price.
Oh, 我这有一个尴尬的问题，这个密码我好像搞忘了，那个 Evergreen 这个 XCH 稍微等一下。
你这个声音很不清楚啊，社长啊。你那接收了吗？能接收吗？
So this is the user experience that you would have is you've posted this offer, but if no one takes your offer, then you don't do anything. You just have to sit and wait. So this is a part of how any distributed exchange would work. Is there's not just a market maker that's going to automatically do it. Somebody has to take the opposite side of this trade. They have to want to do it. So if you've posted a price that's too high, probably no one's going to do it. Also, if there's not a lot of people who are doing trades, then your trade might sit there for a long time before somebody takes it. And this is something that DEXI has been working on, is to people who actually post offers, providing liquidity to their exchange. But you don't have to use DEXI. We're just showing DEXI as one way to do this. You could take this cross-chain offer file and you could just give it to someone or post it in Discord or whatever. So it works just like any other offer files that we're used to using on Chia. So I don't know if he sent the coin, but it's not happening because it looks like he still hasn't sent the coin.
Anyway, he forgot his password. Oh my. Anyway, so we can take it.
So if anyone else wants to do it, then they can. It's certainly up as an offer. It's not specific to any one person. So if somebody else wants to try to take that offer on DEXI, or we could also post the offer here into Zoom. We could do it right onto the Zoom call. Here, I'll show that. So you can see here, I can go to this export offer. So then, well, actually, stop sharing my screen for just a second. Yep. It says the message is too long to share in Slack. So it won't let me do that. Here, maybe I can give it to you on Twitter. Yes. Okay. So that's what it would look like as the CC offer file. Yeah, I can just share that from you guys. So it looks like this. So it's just like offer files in Chia. So you see it's offer here, and then it's this encoded data. And that actually is enough to do the cross-chain offer file. So with that, you could actually do the swap. I'll share again from the mobile app. We need someone to take this offer. If no one can, I can actually just do it on the phone. If nobody else wants to take it, I'll show what it looks like. What do you think? Should I do it, or do we have someone who can swap with me?
So, Grant, we know that there are some news from Evergreen, not only your app, but also the light version of Evergreen farming. And you got the grant from a cultivation grant from Chia network. So, what's your next step or your roadmap for Evergreen wallet?
So the next step for Evergreen is implementing more of these applications. So I'll just briefly show that. So we have integrated some applications already, which I showed, which is the USDS. The other one that we integrated was for NamesDAO, right, to register a name. And we received a grant from NamesDAO for this as well. So if you wanted to register a name, like say, this one, then you can check to see if the name is registered, and it's already taken, so you can't register this one. But if we wanted to register something else, like say this one, then this name is available and we could register it. So what I would do to register this is I would go through the application flow here, and this is a coin spend, right? And if you look at what it's actually doing, it's using the cloaked registration in NamesDAO. So this is a PGP encrypted name registration. So it's implementing the cloaked registration protocol with NamesDAO. And if I were to register that name, then I would actually see that show up in the app. So if I go here to NFTs, I can see here are some of the names that have been registered, right? So like this one, like we obviously have Evergreen. And this integrated NFT browser is part of the application as well. So I can tap on the eye, and then I can visit this on Mint Garden. So I can actually see, oh, this is the Evergreen name registration. And for fun, it actually is a T4 on Chia TCG. So Evergreen, the name registration is a T4. So you can see that.
So you're lucky, T4.
Yes, T4. So integrating these types of applications is one of the things that we've been working on, as well as some of the things that we've been doing within our own ecosystem, which is, we have created our set of NFTs, and the NFTs that you receive as part of the different batches allow you to set the theme. So this NFT actually allows you to set the background image for the wallet.
So is Evergreen's system and open for other developers, and will it be available for users to use their own Raspberry Pi Flash, the Evergreen system?
I think someday we hope to do that. Not yet. We feel like at this point we're still very much creating a lot of the things that are important for the ecosystem, but there's nothing fundamentally stopping you from doing anything you want with the Evergreen device, right? But as far as making a seamless experience and having it all work together, we're not quite ready for anyone to just change things. We are keen and interested in having anyone that wants to develop on top of Evergreen. And we actually had last year launched a program where we were going to have people start working on that. And then too many people bought Evergreen miners. And so then we had to, really work hard on making sure that we could do enough plotting of making the Chia prepared hard drives and then actually making the devices. So we do anticipate getting back to that sort of an idea of making a more open ecosystem around Chia applications and being able to have people produce plugins for the wallet and for the actual server itself. But probably not until more like the end of this year or the beginning of next year is when we would be hoping to get that going again.
So as the first customer of Evergreen in China, Hemadao would like to know what's the conditions are required for Evergreen Family Farm to operate in China. And when can we see that Evergreen miner, promoted in China market?
Well, I hope that it can be very soon, because I know that there is desire and demand in China. One thing I would like to show is that we have moved beyond. Let's see, can I show this? I think I'm gonna have to do this. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, I gotta remember how to change this. Oh wait, I don't remember where it is. It's here. Yep. So it's here. Artifacts.
I think you can
close
your share screen. So maybe
you can see we've now moved to our injection molded plastic. So no more 3D printing. Now only injection molded plastic. So this is the big step for us. Now we can really do worldwide distribution because we can make a lot of these cases now, where before 3D printing not enough capacity, not enough throughput, but now using modern manufacturing, now we can make a lot more.
Yeah, that's a great news. I think you have finally injected plastic cover. That's great.
Well, you have to know what you want to make. So it takes a little while to get it right, and then when you get it right, then you can make the mold.
Okay, that's great. 下面我们开放这个提问啊，如果大家有什么问题，可以直接开麦提问，好吧？我看那个 Eric， 你可以直接提问。
Yeah, thanks, Coco. So I'm wondering to know is there any guidance for me to set up the Evergreen the program on my Raspberry Pi? Because I only know Evergreen project from the Chia grant page, but I do think it's a wonderful project of the Chia ecosystem.
So the light farmer, the way that works is it allows you to start farming without having to have a fully synced full node. But the catch is there has to be a full node that you can communicate with that is willing to allow you to get signage points from it. So it really is oftentimes something that pools will operate. So Flex Pool was one famously that made a light farmer available, and they did so by making their full node infrastructure available. So obviously, we've been talking about the full node infrastructure at Eurolast for a while, and this is what we intend to use at Evergreen is to leverage that full node infrastructure for being able to bootstrap the light farmer. In the vein of decentralization, we still do want to see people running full nodes, right? The full node has been notoriously difficult to run on your own. And so the light farmer allows you to continue to operate the device without having to worry about the reliability issues related to operating a full node on your own. But we still do feel that this is the right way to do Web3, is to have your own full node. And so even if you are using Light Farmer, you would still be able to sync a full node and then transition when that became available. So it's kind of like a quick way to get started as like one-click farming. And that is actually part of the vision of anyone using the Light Farmer, is that you would incorporate this into the first phase of your farming. And then later, when you have a synced full node, there would be no need for it because you're participating in Pure network as a full Pure participant.
Yeah, I understand. So actually, we set up a lot of Chia full node in China. Can I assume that my Chia full node as like a train's head or something? So the Evergreen's box, small box, is like a channel or nuts is in the internet. So every small Evergreen Chia box can connect it to my full node, and this can also generate the power and also get a Chia coin.
Yes, it could. So what it would be doing is it would be getting the signage points from your full node. So how the consensus mechanism on Chia works is when you create a block, the block is the input to the verifiable delay function that is being run by the Time Lord. And the output of the Time Lord in processing that block is the inputs to the next set of consensus problems that need to be solved. And so these signage points are distributed to the network for the farmers to process. And so those signage points are what you need if you're going to participate in the network and potentially make the next block. So what's happening with the full node is you are participating in the entire ecosystem where you're replicating blocks and you're also gossiping signage points amongst the rest of your peers. And so this is what you need to do to be a full participant. In the Light Farmer, you're just sort of taking signage points from the rest of the network. You're not fully participating in that. You're not keeping a copy of the database yourself, and you're not providing blocks to the rest of the network. So it's a little bit of like not fully participating. So it's not great from a decentralization perspective, but it is good from a reliability and from a speed perspective. Because if you're using a Light Farmer, then you can start farming your plots immediately, which obviously for Evergreen, that's what we want. We don't want someone to have to wait 2 weeks to sync the blockchain before they can start using their plots. They want to plug them in, start using it, and immediately start participating in the network. And that's what the light firmware allows you to do. So yes, you could point at any full node, and you would essentially just be getting signage points from that full node.
Understand. Is there any document for that? So for me to how to set up it, you can share the link for me.
Yeah, let me put a link in the chat, and you can take a look at what's been
Thank you,
published. Yes.
Actually, this is my first time to join the Chia ecosystem Zoom meeting, so appreciate you do that for me. I can share to my friends, for my communities.
Oh, good. Yes. Thanks for joining. Really glad to have you.
So,
Okay.
sorry, Grant, how do you think about the gigahertz? Because right now, a lot of people are using the gigahertz node to use the display card to make to be the plotter, and also this also of course the network increased, I think 4 EB for the power. How do you think about that?
Well, I'm really excited about compressed plots and plotting with GPUs. I think that this is you know, it's a great step forward in Chia particularly, and I'm excited to see that the ecosystem has grown to the point where we now have competing plot formats. It's an exciting time in Chia, really. Who would have thought that we would be at this point, you know, just 2 years in, that we already have so many different code bases and at least 2 different plot formats that all work in this entire decentralized ecosystem. So I think that in itself is a very exciting development. As far as gigahertz itself, I'm not a big fan of the way that this was implemented. Personally, I think having an open standard on the format is the desirable way to do this. So having a proprietary plot format to me feels a little scary, right? From the perspective of I'm making these plots and I'm not 100% sure that there have been constructed correctly, and you know, whether there might be some kind of a fault in it that wouldn't be correct. I'm definitely not trying to say that there is a problem, but rather that not having an open format makes it a lot harder to have full confidence in it. So I would have preferred had GigaHorse just made this an open format and would have allowed for anyone to use that plot format as they would. But obviously he needs to make a business out of what he's created and monetize it. So I don't fault him for, you know, trying to create a business out of the idea and the code that he's written. So personally, I'm not using GigaHorse yet. I'm waiting for the open compressed plot from Chia. And that's sort of when I will start to use compressed plots, is when this thing is released by Chia Network as an open standard. And if GigaHorse were to, you know, release it as an open standard, I would take a much more serious, hard look at it again, but didn't decide to go forward with it because it wasn't an open plot standard.
Yes, yeah, agree with you. Totally agree with you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if there's no further questions, I'd like to end today's AMA, and we are very thanks for Grant coming and share the information for us. Okay.
Thank you.
Don't forget to send us the NFT, the Evergreen NFT. We are still waiting for your NFT.
Very soon. Yes.
I saw it second batch already, but we
yes,
are waiting.
Second batch. Yes.
Okay. So that's all for today, and see you next time. Thanks for everyone, and thanks for Grant and Bernard. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.